All right, so we're going to go ahead and start talking about some motivation, some meditation, some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. We got to start asking ourselves, how are we utilizing our focus? How are we putting ourselves in a place where we're asking ourselves the question, is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. And so, how are we getting down to that place inside of ourselves where we start to focus to that point where what we have is ourselves, where we're sitting inside of who we are, where we're giving ourselves the ability to gain that place inside of our mentality, inside of our being. And, a lot of times when we're facing off against challenges, it's inside of ourselves that we're looking to become. It's when we're focusing to that level where what we're utilizing on a daily basis is our being, it's our place, it's our ability inside of ourselves to overcome our challenges. And on a daily, that's the type of questions that we start asking ourselves. We start getting down to a place where other people can't go, where you're being yourself, where you're facing off against the things and you're believing in who you are, where when you face off against challenges, when you're who you are on the inside, when you're facing off against things that nobody else can do for you. You see, a lot of times the challenges that we're going through is just being ourselves. It's being who we are on the inside. It's being the person that you are and giving yourself the ability to face off against your challenges yourself. And this is a daily grind, my friends. It's not. It doesn't just end tomorrow. It's an everyday thing. It's a ability to put yourself in a mindset to where you start to believe in who you are, and it's inside of oneself that we start to open up. It's inside of one's abilities, inside of one's mentality, that the challenges that we start to have start to be overcome. And you want your day, you want to grind to the place inside of yourself where you know that you can be yourself, okay? And a lot of times when we're going through challenges, that's what we start asking ourselves. We start asking ourselves, is this worth it? Can I do this? Can I achieve it? Can I truly go through my challenges in such a way that I have the ability to utilize my challenges? And inside of that, I would like to believe that it's possible, okay? That you can be the best in your profession, okay? That you can be a great companion on your journey. You see, it's not somebody else's journey that I'm talking about. I'm talking about your own journey. I'm talking about you making it through your challenges. I'm talking about you believing in yourself and not allowing other people to beat you up for being who you are. And putting yourself in a place where you're so focused that you get to keep the results. Okay? And a lot of times we see ourselves in our positions and we see other people that might just be a little bit more qualified than you. And they're not getting the position that you can if you put your mind to it, if you open up your ability inside of who you are. And so today's speech is about that. It's about opening your mind. It's about opening the ability to have an able mentality. It's about getting to the place inside of yourself where you believe in who you are, and it isn't about somebody else. Okay? Nobody else can write your songs, your music, your speeches for you. Nobody else can speak your mind for you. So when do you start doing that for yourself? When do you start allowing the people that are going to be around you to bring you closer to you? And so a lot of times we see these types of people reaching high levels of success because they're not allowing themselves to have the people that aren't bringing them closer to who they truly want to become, who they truly want to achieve, and what they truly want to do in their lives. And so this is where this podcast goes into a place where you ask yourself, is what the people around you, are they seeing you as a motivation? It's not just what you see, okay? It's what the people around you see coming from within you. And so when we're talking about becoming that level of focus, we're talking about that level of foundation inside of yourself where you're not surprised when the people that aren't meant for you move out of the way. And it's amazing when we start to find that place of focus where we are going to achieve our dreams, where we are going to achieve our goals, where we are going to overcome our challenges. And when we do this on a daily, okay, when we put ourselves in a place where we start to believe it's possible, all right, you got to see it inside of yourself. And each day that we are there, each day that you wake up, each day that you are going through challenges, is a place for you to either embrace them and find a way to see a positivity to come out of them and start to turn those things from negatives in your life into positives. And you see, the structure has set it up in such a way to where people aren't seeing past the good and bad, okay? It's when you start to see past those kinds of things that the blessings start coming in your direction. It's when you start to believe in yourself and your ability to be who you are that you start to see what's positive in your life. And the greatest part about that is it isn't about somebody else when you decide it for you. It isn't about somebody else when you start to achieve it within you. It's when you start to believe in yourself, that you're focused enough that the vibration comes out as a positivity. You see, all of us are going to face off against challenges. There's not a single person on the face of the planet that isn't going to have challenges. The difference between those people that are successful and those people that aren't is that even with the challenges that they have, okay, they have the ability to put themselves in a mindset that if they don't see a way, they're going to make a way through those challenges. And when we truly start to do that, when we truly start to put ourselves in a place where we believe in who we are, okay, when we believe in our being, when we believe in our vibration, that things can become possible inside of ourselves, then our mentality starts to turn positive. It truly starts to happen for you. You see, it's inside of that part of who we are where when we start believing in ourselves, we believe in our abilities, we believe that we can achieve things, when we start to listen to things that are bringing us closer towards that, when we start to listen to the internal voice inside of ourselves telling us, hey, this thing isn't bringing you towards a positive direction. When you start to make those kind of choices to turn those things positive, when you start to make those kind of choices that you are going to overcome those kind of things inside of yourself, then you have the ability to utilize positivity. See, it's inside of an able mentality. It's inside of the person who's willing to pick up, a ability to write things down. Some of us write it down electronically. Some of us speak it into devices. Some of us write it on paper. But what matters is that you see it in front of yourself. You start to see that you can achieve your dreams, that you can achieve your goals, that if you put yourself and your mind in a place where you're going to choose to focus in to the things that you want to overcome, that you will start overcoming challenges, that you will start putting yourself in a place where it is possible. And so, how do we put ourselves in a ways that we're able to go inward, that we're truly able to get inside of ourselves? How? How can you do that? How can you start to overcome those things that would stop you, where you can focus to the point where emotions are no longer holding you back? Where the things, what about the day when your position is cut, okay? Or when your vehicle breaks down, or when you've been writing songs for so long and you lose your book? What about then when the things that you want to achieve look like they're so grim that it's not possible? But the thing that's true is that on the other side of that, when the universe starts to test you, it's like a mountain. Until you're willing to jump off the other side in your life into a way to believe in yourself, it's not going to be possible. Until you focus to that level where you start utilizing that part of yourself, where you believe in who you are. See, a real life is one where you're being yourself, okay? That hits home. That hits a place where when you're inside of who you are, when you're spending the time inside of yourself, when you're believing in who you are, you're believing in your ability, you're believing in your mind that it's possible, that you can achieve your dreams, that it isn't somebody else that's going to be able to do that for you. And so, when you start to believe at that level, when you start to achieve at that level, where you start to believe in yourself, don't be surprised if the universe is going to say, do you truly believe? Okay? When you get into yourself, when you start facing off against your emotions, when you start facing off against your fears, your pains, it's when you become the student in your life, when you start to study yourself. And see, a lot of people like to call that practice meditation. It's when you're in that place where you start to believe in who you are inside, that you start to see you, okay? And it's not for somebody else that you start to overcome things for. It's inside of who you are that the Most High God starts to work. It's when you become that vibration. It's when they don't know if you can do the position and you believe in yourself and you stick up to the position and you achieve it. It's when you don't know if it's possible and you start to gain the knowledge inside of yourself. Okay? And I'm talking about that person who doesn't believe it's possible. I'm talking to that person who knows themselves and has been living their life and hasn't picked up, that part of who they are that they truly want to become. And I understand. It's difficult. Self-honesty is the hardest trait on the face of the planet to utilize. Okay? Because when you start to become honest with yourself, you start seeing parts of yourself that other people wouldn't want to see. Okay? And when you start to see those parts, they start to open you up to overcome your challenges. They start to open you up to believe in who you are. And that belief inside of yourself is like a student in a classroom. You're going to face off against challenges, my friends. When you gain the knowledge to know that you can overcome them, that's when you start to feel free inside of yourself. When we start to see those kind of mountains become overcome. When we start to see those kind of valleys become overcome. When we're able to be on our journey, on our path, when we're able to have self-honesty, self-ability, self-mentality. enabling the mind to the level where we know who we are on the inside, where we can study that person inside of ourselves and we can start to believe in who we are. So let's go ahead and start talking about gaining access to that knowledge inside of ourselves. See, when you are patient with you, when you're patient with your ability, when you're patient and you observe, you give yourself the ability to have observation. It takes time. Self-growth isn't going to happen in one day. You're not going to hear this message and tomorrow it's going to happen. But I could tell you, if you're hearing this message, you're one step closer to believing in yourself. You're one step closer to believing in your ability inside of who you are, inside of the being that you are on the inside, inside of the focus that you want to achieve, inside of the dreams that you have inside of yourself, that it's possible for you to overcome your challenges. And so, are we doing that? That's the type of question that we should be asking ourselves. My friends, hear what I'm saying. When you start to learn from you, then the true teacher inside starts to open up. The true mentality starts to become. The true ability inside of who we are starts to be who we are on the inside. And when you believe that you have what it takes, when you believe who you are is worth it, when you are truly facing off against challenges with a mentality, with a level of liberation that you start to believe in yourself, then that student meets the teacher inside of you. Then the knowledge inside of you starts to reflect outwards. Then people start to say, hey, you know how to do this? Let me go ahead and use this gift that you have. And that's when the universe starts to yield knowledge possibility to you. See, the knowledge is all around us. It already exists. It's already there within the vibration of the planet, within the universe that we live in. Are you accessing that? Are you opening up yourself to the ability for your dreams to become possible? Are you opening up yourself to the ability for your being to vibrate at that level? And when we start to do that, when we start to give ourselves that ability, when we start to get down to that part inside of who we are, where we're focused to that part, where we have that ability to overcome those kinds of challenges, with knowledge being decompressed inside of yourself, that part of yourself that feels like I just can't handle it starts to become overcome. Then the student has met the teacher inside of you. That's where growth happens. It happens inside of ourselves. It happens inside of our beliefs, inside of our abilities, inside of our manifestation. And it's not when other people say, oh, it's when you feel it inside of yourself, when it decompresses inside of who you are. You see what I'm saying? We all hear this story about somebody else overcoming their challenges. We all hear this story about somebody else becoming this type of light, becoming this type of ability inside of who they are. But what about you? What about the person inside of you? What about the self-honesty? What about the self-ability? What about that person inside of who you are? You see what I'm saying? Are you believing at that level that you can understand you? That when you reflect outwards from self-knowledge with self-honesty, it relates in a reflection of self-love. See what I'm saying? See, let it be the reflection that other people see when your self-care radiates a light of self-love, okay? And so, when we understand that the light comes from within, the being within you is worth it, that the knowledge inside has a purpose, then you have the ability to overcome your challenges, my friends. Then the knowledge inside frees itself to you, likened to a student with a teacher inside of a classroom called you. Look at your life. Look at how many years you've been on the face of the planet. How certified are you to be yourself? How certified are you to face off against your challenges? How certified are you to believe in who you are? Now, are you using your focus? Are you using your knowledge? Are you reflecting a place within you where you are starting to become that kind of reflection? Where you're starting to gain that kind of place inside of yourself? Where you're starting to use your focus and knowledge to the point where you believe in who you are? Where you believe that you have what it takes, that you have the ability to become a reflection of your discipline? Are you disciplined to the point where the teacher and the student are within you? Where the teacher and the student meet? Where the ability inside of yourself becomes possible? See, we are seeking that place inside of ourselves. Okay, we're seeking that student and that teacher to have that aha moment inside of oneself where we get it. That's why we always seek out other people, other stories. When we seek out the one that's you? When do we seek out the one inside of you? When do we seek out that part of who we are on the inside? And when do we start to believe in ourselves and our abilities and our possibilities, where we are able to become that kind of thing, where the universe has that kind of yield, where other people become inspired from your place of discipline? And so, are we doing that, my friends? Are we truly getting to that place inside of who we are where we have what it takes to become disciplined? Become disciplined within our beings. Become disciplined within our abilities. Become disciplined within our focus. Become disciplined within our mentalities. And you see, my friends, when we start to do that, when we start to become that kind of light in this universe where other people see us, the universe has a yield. And it's not just for us. It's for other people to see you too. It's for you to become that kind of light where other people become uplifted, where other people's days become more because you came along. And it's inside of ourselves that it takes that. And it truly takes one believing in themselves to reach a place of discipline where the reflection inspires other people. You see, we see these kind of people across the face of the planet. We see them in your Olympic athletes. We see them in your top stars in your professions. We see them in their companionships. We see those people who are an inspiration across the face of the planet. And what it is that they have, the thing that they have is their focus and knowledge becoming applied. Okay? They know inside that if they focus to the point where the knowledge becomes possible, that they could get to that place of they could just become that disciplined. If they could become that level of mentality, if they could gain that place inside of who they are, where they know that they have what it takes, that they will overcome their challenges. Do you see the universe on that level? Do you ask the universe, let me not just figure it out, but let's go ahead and find a way for it to become possible? When we get to that point inside of ourselves, where we have the ability to have what it takes inside, when we have the ability to believe that it's possible, that we can achieve a discipline inside of ourselves where we can overcome challenges with that kind of light, where we can be who we are on the inside and we can believe in ourselves, my friends, then amazing things become possible. That's when you get your promotions. That's when the things that you want to achieve become available to you. It's when you put yourself in that kind of a place where you have what it takes, where your discipline inside, where your mentality, where your ability, where you're so focused that your discipline radiates outwards. And you see, when we're doing that, when we're truly putting ourselves in that kind of a place, where we're giving ourselves that kind of ability to believe that it's possible inside of ourselves, that it's possible inside of who we are, that we have what it takes to overcome challenge, that when we believe that we can do it and that we can achieve it, that you start to see things happen when you are so focused and you're so disciplined that you're radiating a light outwards. Then people start seeking you out, my friends. They start seeking out the person who believes in themselves to the point where if they can't find a way, they're going to make a way. Are you doing that for yourself today? Are you asking yourself the question, am I becoming an inspiration? Am I utilizing my ability, my mentality? Am I utilizing my very being to vibrate in such a way that the discipline that I have inside radiates outwards? The discipline that I have inside has the ability to overcome the challenges. Am I focusing to that place inside of myself where I can do that? And you see, a lot of us, we stop at that point, okay? Because we allow our situations to be greater than we are inside. We allow the things that we're going through to stop us from gaining that place of growth, from gaining that part of who we are. And when we do that, when we start to do the things that it takes to get there, when we start to do the types of things that it takes to overcome those kinds of challenges, to start to be who we truly are on the inside, to start to light up this world in such a way that we have what it takes, where other people start to become inspired by you. So how do you do it? How do you start to, do that even when, you're in a place where you might have that highest position? With your mentality, my friends, with what it truly takes inside of who you are, where what you're going through, you have the ability to make it through. And we've heard these people who, are, even when it's painful, they start singing, okay? Because they've got to find some kind of a way to make it through it. And I know you might be going through a real challenge right now. I mean, you might have, things that are working against you in such a way that you don't know if you can make it. But when you find your knowledge and you know inside of yourself you got what it takes, when you know you got what it takes inside of you, when you know that you can do it, that you can make it, that you can believe to a point inside of yourself, that you can find that discipline, you can find that ability inside of yourself to believe that if nobody else can do it, then you can do it. Okay? And if other people can do it, you can do it as well. When you have that kind of dying mentality that, I'm going to find a way, and that's the only way it's going to happen, that's the Bruce Lee mentality. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about people that have been realizing this and reaching high levels of wealth and high levels of success within themselves and universal wealth beyond wealth. I'm talking about a place of discipline. I'm talking about a place of understanding. I'm talking about a place of being, of self-honesty, of self-reflection, of self-vibration, where we have what it takes inside of ourselves to overcome our challenges, where we can believe that we can do it, that we can overcome it, that we're worth it, that you're worth it. And so, how do you get there? How do you start to want that? When you start to become who you are on the inside, then it's possible for you to believe in yourself. And that's where I ask myself every day this question: is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. That's what this network is about, my friends. Motivation, meditation, inspiration. Reaching those visualizations, reaching those mentalities, utilizing the gifts, the tools, the abilities inside of who you are, so you have the ability to utilize the universe and watch as the universe yields back to you. What a blessing it is for us to have this time together today. Are you using your abilities inside of yourself? Ask yourself those types of questions. And as we connect Subscribe to the networks, get connected, and be a blessing for others. Blessings and blessings, blessings. As always, namaste.